Stick around. We're going to look at this a little bit deeper now. We're joined by Endy Zemenides. He is the executive director of the Hellenic American Leadership Council. Welcome back to the broadcast.
Thank you.
Did the EU make any concessions to get this deal done? And did Tsipras have a plan B? And also, do the Greek people feel like they were duped by him because he may have always known that austerity was inevitable?
Well, the Europeans made no concessions. They actually took a harder line after the referendum. They took a hard line leading up to the referendum. And if we look at the week and a half before the referendum, the Prime Minister, the government put a proposal on the table that was pretty much caving into most European demands. They received it. The European creditors said it was a good basis for talks, and then send it back marked up with all red. That led to the referendum. The no that Tsipras secured in the referendum, he took it as a mandate for harder negotiations. The Europeans took it as, brinksmanship, and they responded to brinksmanship of their own. I do think people think they're duped. I see it on our social media sites. I see it in the reaction to yesterday's deal or this morning's deal. People think that this was something that the government was going to do all along, and they did the referendum to give themselves political cover. I personally think it was a series of miscalculations from the election to today. From the election back in January, that the government, inexperienced as it was, and it's very important to note, neither the Prime Minister nor the vast majority of this government had any governing experience before.
Indeed, it's Owen Fairclough in Washington with Susan. Those Greek people you mentioned who felt duped, well, some of those parliamentarians may get the chance to take their revenge on Alexis Tsipras because this all has to be voted through the Greek parliament on Wednesday. This must be a pretty big challenge.
It is a big challenge. As your reporter noted before, the left platform has already said they will be absent from the proceedings. His coalition partner, his right-wing coalition partner, said that his party will not support the deal. They'll support the government, but not the deal, so I'm not sure what that means. But if he can keep a core of his party together, I'm pretty sure that the three other main opposition parties, pro-European opposition parties in New Democracy, PASOK, and Topotami, or the river, they'll vote with him. So the math is there to win this vote. Beyond that, I don't know how this government survives, how it gets reshuffled. There's all kinds of speculation. You may need a technocratic government, a government of technocrats, and then elections again in the fall. But the math is there.
Endy, tell us, why is this deal different than the ones we've seen with Greece in the past? Will we be back in the same position in 5 years?
Well, it's harsher on Greece. It's definitely harsher on Greece. The comparisons are to Versailles, the Versailles peace between World War I or after World War I, are not completely off base. There's putting national assets in a trust, giving European inspectors veto power over budgetary restrictions, very tight deadlines, stuff that you haven't even seen in the Iran negotiations. You must pass all reforms by this Wednesday. Automatic spending cuts, kind of like the sequesters that we've had here in the United States. Will we be back in 5 years? The trust issue may be resolved in 5 years, but there's nothing in this plan, there's nothing in this package of reform that makes me think that Greece is going to grow any faster. In fact, unless substantial debt relief gets settled on fairly soon, adding on more austerity, all these measures are fairly recessionary, and it may increase the debt to GDP, especially since the economy has been shrinking. So,
Endy, you sound understandably pessimistic about Greece's prospects, given the last 3 to 5 years. Do you buy that argument at all that Greece might be able to grow its way out of this crisis, a bit like Portugal perhaps? There were reasonably encouraging signs just before this latest Syriza crisis blew up.
Yeah, well, there were, remember, the growth that everybody cites was a primary surplus. And just like here in the United States in 2010, we were talking about a jobless recovery. You were seeing a jobless recovery in Greece. You were seeing, okay, yeah, everybody was pointing to 1.4% growth, but you had 28% unemployment. You had a contraction of the economy that had gone to 33%. Yes, I do think Greece can grow. And I think there's a lot of low-hanging fruit to be had, but it cannot grow, it can't cut its way to growth. There has to be some stimulus here, there has to be some investment here. And as long as that is off the table, no, I don't think it will grow.
Endy, let's talk about European solidarity and the work Germany needs to do to show that it's a part of all of this and the backlash that a lot of Europeans may be feeling against Germany since it didn't repay its own debt.
Yeah, I mean, I had an amusing interaction with a German journalist on Twitter last night where he said, he fired back at me saying that debts are meant to be repaid. And I had a little bit of fun with that on Twitter, saying, so says someone from Germany. But I think the bigger problem is that right now, citizens, not only the citizens of Greece, but you're seeing it across, Eurosceptics had a big day yesterday. And this coming in advance of a vote at the United Kingdom, we're going to go from a Grexit to a Brexit. We don't know what yet this is going to do in Spain. The hashtag that you guys referred to earlier, that this is a coup, started in Barcelona, and Podemos is picking up on this as a coup. Marine Le Pen in France. So the Eurosceptics are going to seize on this and saying this Euro group, these faceless bureaucrats are overruling our democratic choices, and I think it's going to cause quite a bit of disarray in European politics.
Well, thank you, Endy Zemenides, and our own, of course, Owen Fairclough, for that. We appreciate both of you.